I'm just going to grab some mics so we can all hear each other again. Hello. Oh, sure. Yeah, can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. We've got two filmmakers in the audience tonight, Alexis and Brandon, who've kindly agreed to join us on stage. I'd just like to say thank you to the rest of the team, Janelle and Akina, because unfortunately Akina can't be here tonight because she's not very well. But even though Janelle's not part of the Q&A, Janelle is very much part of the curation process and the rest of the team. So thank you so much for the hard work that you do. And yeah, Brandon and Alexis, please join us. We've got some mics and some chairs. Is it possible to get a light on? Would that be all right? Thank you. I have.
That's great.
Goodness, not the big light.
Sorry.
Would you be happy to introduce yourselves quickly? We're just finding a light.
Hi, my name is Alexis. My film was The Last One Dancers Gaze. I am a dancer, a multidisciplinary creative. I just finished my master's at the Royal College of Art studying digital direction, and yeah, this is my first time showing my work in such a public forum, so I'm a bit nervous.
That's so exciting.
But thank you all for being here.
My name is Brian Saunders. I'm originally from the Cayman Islands, and this is my second time showing with FOMO. My film was the first one to be played for the men's section, Interwoven Temperaments. I fairly recently graduated from the Ruskin School of Arts with an MAs, and thank you very much for being here. Yep.
Now, I do have some questions prepared, but I'm also very happy to throw it out to the audience if you have any questions, but also no pressure. I know sometimes it might feel a bit too soon to process, because we've had, I think this evening, when I think about a word to describe the films that we've seen, I really think cathartic filmmaking. And I think whether that's people exploring, like in the first half, exploring violence, unrest within themselves potentially, breaking the materials, or if it's in the second half where it's about connection and people exploring a private part of themselves in a very positive way. And I just wanted to sort of start off with asking you both about your relationship to filmmaking. So Alexis, you said you're a dancer as well as a multidisciplinary creative. And I just wondered what your process was when getting the group of dancers to be part of your film.
One of the dancers is actually here today.
Oh, hello! Thank you for being here.
But being like a dancer and like being very active, it was, I guess, quite easy to find people. All of the dancers that were in the piece are people that are close to me and I consider friends. So I just was kind of reaching out and told them what the project was about. I mean, it was still in very like early stages. And yeah, I was just like, would you like to be a part of this? And thankfully, they said yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And Brandon, with your relationship to your filmmaking and exploring narratives of ancestral history, personal history, what do you find your relationship is when you're making a film?
I guess specifically with Interwoven Temperaments, a lot of I came from the Cayman Islands, but both my parents are Jamaican, and Cayman used to be a part of Jamaica until it broke off, and became its own independent entity, but there's also still a relatively big Jamaican community there that I very much identify with. But I guess with Interwoven Temperaments, in my practice, I like to explore Jamaican history and the way in which it was inspired by Akan history, like the tribes that originally came from West Africa through the transatlantic slave trade. And I like to see ways it's like similar but quite different. And I think something that was quite similar about them was spirit possession. And I wanted to represent that through fabric animation because we're also culturally tied with our fabric making traditions, even though it's evolved a little bit. So it's really just trying to like find that relationship and yeah, just kind of like put a spotlight on it and make it like the focal point of the narrative.
Yeah, I found it really interesting actually with both of your films that there's a combination of materialities going on. I mean, with the combination, Brandon, with a very contemporary art form such as CGI, and then having this much more a kind of textural element with incorporation of West African fabric. Because the last film that we showed here was mainly focused on fabric, and it's so interesting because we all, as we do with all of our filmmakers, look up the rest of their practice, and it was interesting to see that you also worked with CGI. So it's such an interesting step for you to combine these two. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that process?
For me, I like taking, especially with this film, a mixed media approach because especially having worked with a lot of other artists that work within like concepts of Blackness, I love 3D animation a lot, but I also feel like 3D animation in isolation, I think could be a little bit like, it does a good job of exploring the diaspora, but I think you need more at the same time also. So it's also like bringing in this, when I was showing this like idea of spirit possession, I wanted the material to be different. That way it like felt like it occupied a completely different world from the CGI, and that, within this 3D, this geometric world, the soul of the film is really the fabric animations, as they represent this long history of West African fabric making. And the 3D is extremely important when it comes to the world building, but it really is like this world that is facilitating these different spiritual entities.
Such a beautiful combination, it really is. And Alexis, with your film, I think the combination between the live performer and then this very mesmeric use of CGI, how long have you brought that into your practice?
So this is, I guess, my first time actually combining both like 3D and live action, and this is my first time working on like a live action project in this way. And so I wanted to combine the two just because I feel like dance as an art form is very like about the body, very traditional, and 3D is kind of, I guess, supposed to be quite different from that, even though it takes a lot from reality, right? And so I don't know, it felt quite natural in a way to combine the two because all of the dancers that did the live action also did the 3D stuff. So the movements were captured in motion capture. And I was also like playing with this idea of, I guess, what dance could look like if you kind of remove it from the body. So if you look at a lot of the stuff, especially at the end, where it's more like particles and it's like wind flowing, I was looking at whether it would be possible to, I guess, capture the experiences that you kind of feel as a performer that maybe that the audience isn't necessarily thinking about, but you might be feeling inside as a performer. And yeah, I think I did kind of agonize a little bit over making it feel seamless. But
And I think the combination is fantastic because I think you really get that sense of escapism in those CGI moments. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about is I think it's really interesting that when we're talking about personal elements of identity, personal history, cultural history, and using an experimental medium like film, experimental artist film. I wondered what you find more liberating about having a non-restricted medium like artist film.
That's a good question. I don't know, I guess that is also one of the main reasons why I was drawn to, so I started doing like 3D stuff first. But just that idea that you really can just do anything, you're only really restricted by your imagination, but also like your technical abilities. But I don't know, I think it's really nice to have that kind of freedom. But it's also, which is another thing that I was reckoning with as I was working on this project, where I could feel, I guess, my own unconscious biases and programming kind of seeping into certain things and certain choices that I made. And yeah, just like reflecting on, I guess, how I wanna work on that as I move forward within my practice, basically.
And for me, I think it's a really lovely medium in that I'm sure other like filmmakers kind of agree. I think, especially when showing a work, when the more polished it is, I think the more you have to kind of like restrict yourself into very cultural boxes. And I find that work, not all of it, but sometimes work that pertains to the Afro-Caribbean diaspora follows, or the ones that are like curated, follow very similar beats. And I think that sometimes it does not lack a nuance, but there's an unwillingness to show the nuance. Especially like in Afro-Caribbean culture, there's just so much difference between, say, you're from Jamaica versus St. Lucia versus the Cayman Islands versus St. Martin. There's such a wide and interesting culture, especially when you look at, who colonized who and how these cultures are so distinct. But I feel that a lot of that nuance is not really being portrayed. And I guess like using this medium, you can really focus in on all the aspects that really matter to you and that speak to you. And sometimes there is overlap, and sometimes it is very great to hear other people from the diaspora go, I really relate to this experience, or we have a similar experience, but it's slightly different. We have a different name for this, and so I very much love the medium.
I just want to thank you both so much for coming and sharing your experiences with making these films, and also for sharing them with us. It's been such a privilege for MicroActs to be able to program your work. Thank you so much. And I do just want to throw that out there. If anybody does have any questions, we can also do that in a more relaxed setting. If you come up to the filmmakers at the bar and say, "Can I buy you a drink?" and ask you about your work, that also works. Because I know sometimes it feels a bit more of a formal setting to do a Q&A. But I would also like to thank you all for coming this evening, and for FOMO House for hosting us. Thank you all so much. And yes, please do stick around if you have any questions for Janelle or myself. We are happy to chat to you, and also to Brandon and Alexis for sharing your thoughts about the work. Thank you so much.
And thank you, live stream. Thank you, live stream.
The films are also going to be available for 4 days on our live stream on our YouTube channel. So if there's anything that you've seen tonight, you go, "Oh, I'd love to watch that again," please do. And if you've seen a program tonight and you go, "Oh, I think my friend would love that," please share that with them as well. Oh, Janelle, do you want to mention?
I just want to mention that it would be great if you do a feedback form to help us apply for funding, which we're doing right now.
Yes, fantastic. We've got a QR code just around the corner, which is the online version, and we also have stickers. We have stickers and cute stuff like that. So yeah, see you all in a minute.
Bye bye live stream.
Bye.